Think engineering is just equations or blueprints? Think again. From mind-blowing tech to game-changing innovations, All Things Engineering by EIT brings you real stories, real people, and real impact. Your front row seat to the future of engineering.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your availability to join us during this podcast, Dr. Karoline, Figueiredo, and Mr. Rahul Deo. So for today, the main point about all things in engineering is to discuss more about building from the ground up. So we're going to have opportunity to explore the process behind the subdivision development. We can discuss points about roads design, earthworks to some water and water wastewater system. So what is the trend in terms of projects, modern construction projects, and how we can ensure that the communities will receive all the benefits of those type of projects. So for the very beginning, I'm just going to start with our introduction. So my name is Dr. Ana Evangelista. I'm the course coordinator of a Master of Engineering, Civil Structural Engineering at EIT. I'm also senior lecturer. I'm supervising master's students, doctorate students. I'm also teaching bachelor's degree students, master's and doctorate. So yeah, it's a great pleasure to have you here today. So please, Dr. Karoline, can you introduce yourself and then Rahul?
Yes, sure. So, hi everyone. As Dr. Ana said, I'm Dr. Karoline Figueiredo. I'm a civil engineer with a master's and a PhD in environmental engineering. So, my background is in sustainable construction and also in building and infrastructure management, especially through the development of digital twins and the use of other digital tools. So, I always enjoy conversations where we can explore different systems that make our city function. So it's a pleasure to be here today. And it's a pleasure to have Raul here. I'm also an EIT lecturer, and I'm a lecturer for the higher education and VET courses. And it's a pleasure to have one of our online students here to talk to us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rahul Deo. And as you guys know, I'm also a student at an EIT. In fact, Dr. Caroline actually tutored me on one of the units, project management. And I really enjoyed that experience. So it was quite a pleasure to hear that you'll be joining us today.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Dr. Anna, you are also one of my lecturers for materials unit, but unfortunately you had to swap with someone else. So I didn't really get to delve and have the experience of enjoying your company. A little something about me. I'm a land development engineer, so I'm working with the government to build up residential subdivisions for low-income earners, and we usually take a parcel of land and we convert it to do the full servicing, electricity, water, sewer, reticulation, all the good stuff. And today I'll have the pleasure of sharing what I've learned through my days on the field with you guys. Over to you, Dr. Anna.
No, that's great. We just need to continue our conversation in a very informal way. So I think now we can discuss a bit, right, Karoline, about the initial stage, because we all know that subdivision development goes far beyond building roads. Roads is the starting point, right?
No, and I love that you highlighted this because most people associate a new neighborhood, a new city with houses under construction. But for us as civil engineers, that stage comes only after months of engineering work. So before any building starts, we really need to resolve the earthworks, the road, the stormwater, sewer, water supply, all the underground services. And all these systems need to be carefully coordinated so the subdivision operates safely, efficiently, sustainably. So I think it's our responsibility to think about how these elements come together to shape communities that are functional, resilient, and more importantly, I think nowadays it's very important for us to think about communities that are truly future ready. So when we think about the early stages of a subdivision, the first thing we look at is the land itself. So before we draw a single road line or anything like that, we really need to understand the site constraints. So we will analyze the topography, the soil conditions, the drainage patterns, any existing infrastructure. So we will have this initial analysis, and this will guide everything that comes next. And from there, road layout will be part of this process. We can think about how the streets will connect to the existing road networks, how to maintain safe gradients, how to make sure traffic flows efficiently. And actually, we can talk more deeply about that later today, but there are many digital tools, many data-driven approaches that we can use nowadays to improve the way we create new subdivisions. So we can think about road layouts, grading, traffic flow considerations, because actually this starts long before we look at vehicles moving within the subdivision. We really need to analyze expected trip generation, how residents will enter and exit the site. There are many points to be considered. And in this regard, we can use different nowadays, there are several options about simulation software to model traffic movements, to think about earthworks, to make the process far more precise. So based on that, I would love to hear from you, Raul. Have you had projects where these points were considered? How can we discuss this point?
Raul, are you based in Fiji, right?
Yes, I'm based
So
in Fiji.
we need also to consider the environmental impacts, right?
Yes,
Do you have
yes.
any curiosity in terms of in your challenging in your projects when you need to accommodate the conservation of fauna and flora in Fiji?
Okay, this question is quite perfect for me because the previous company I was at, it was a small company, and then it consisted of like just 8 to 10 people. And so the amazing thing about having like working in a small company is that you get to experience everything. And so that company, we were doing the whole 9 yards in subdivision design. So we were doing, we started with the environmental impact assessment. Our company also did our director was a registered environmental consultant. So we got to do the EIA as well as going through the terms and conditions of the Department of Town and Country Planning. Afterwards, it went through the engineering design. And so when we see the whole process, we begin to understand how much intricate detail is put into this. So for instance, you said something about environmental impact assessment. So we had a project where we had to like a 500,000 meter cubed of fill. And so that has its own implications on the environment, like the residents of the nearby construction site would be susceptible to dust, and all of this had to be mitigated. They had to be walking during certain hours so that the noise wouldn't be too much for them. And so we got to see the whole process. It was quite amazing, and really you get to understand how many people play a role, and then the building gets constructed. Prior to that, like so much stuff goes on, and no one really sees this
behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, behind the scenes. Yeah. So when Karoline told me, was telling her about all the stuff that goes through, I was like, oh my God, I've exactly been in that situation.
This is really great. Here in WA, we have a very nice example, I can say, a project where these kind of subdivision is highly sustainable subdivision. So they could also implement, in terms of the road design, they need to go with not only the traditional concrete, but working with eco-friendly materials. So I think all these new trends in terms of sustainability in construction is becoming more common in our subdivision development. So do you have any, in terms of, we understand that the road is the main part when people just hear, wow, there's something new happen over there. But behind the scenes, we have all the water systems and water management. Any type of, how can I say, challenge in terms of the regulations that you need to comply with in Fiji, Raul?
Yes, when we
Floodings, what's the main challenge in order to design the water systems?
for the water systems, one of the common issues that we have in Fiji is that the water provider, which is Water Authority of Fiji, they're a bit staffed at the moment, right? So they haven't really upgraded their services. So if we are to construct a new subdivision, they have certain rules in place that we need to have tanks like this 5,000 kiloliters tanks so that the residents have water in case there's a shortage. So these implications it travels down to the developer and it costs them. So
Yeah.
that's some of the things that we need to have consideration for. And when we have residents, then we need to also make sure that their peak demands are met. And all of this comes down to what the development of the country is. So those are some of the shortcomings that we have coming from Water Authority of Fiji. Otherwise, we don't have much issues regarding the conditions. Sometimes we have certain conditions that we have to look at flooding also. This comes from
Yeah.
our Water Authority of Fiji. They want us to make residential subdivisions where it's quite sustainable. It doesn't get damaged easily from natural disasters, flooding, and cyclones. So those are some things that come down to us as engineers. We have to design in a way that it doesn't get affected later on.
Yeah. And just to add to that on the water supply, I think it's we also discussed that in our courses because our courses are very focused on hands-on experience and data-driven solutions. And we also talk about that because we need to analyze several aspects together. So you are mentioning the reality of Fiji. In Brazil, where I'm based, the reality is a bit different. In Australia, we have other types of challenges. So actually for water supply, for example, we need to analyze demand patterns, fire flow requirements, pressure zones, pipe sizing. There are many things that we need to consider. And I think nowadays we understand that each project should be considered as a system because unfortunately traditionally we normally work in silos, so each professional working separately. And nowadays, mainly for infrastructure projects, I think we understand that we are talking about major components here. So we really need to design systems that handle, in this case of water supply, we need to think about minor rainfall events, but at the same time, major events through overland flow paths. So there are many challenges and many things that we should consider all together. So it's really important to have this balancing approach to consider different criteria together because we know that we need to create infrastructure that will be resilient and will be focused on the new generations to come as well. So I think it's important to highlight that.
Yeah, I'm based in Perth, WA. So yeah, you can see everywhere we have some flooding preventions. So,
Yes.
and then we also here need just keep an eye on the wetland, conservation of wetland. So all these combined. So this project that I mentioned is a eco village here in WA. They found a very interesting solution. They created some community dams. So instead of piping storm water away, they could reuse these as a mini engineered dams in order to capture water and just do this for the community garden irrigation, or if there is some other uh, demands on this. The reuse of water, I think it's another point that more and more civil engineers you are asked, to find
Yes.
this type of new solutions.
Something I would like to mention is that uh, due to the shortage of water in some of the areas, we have also delved into rainfall harvesting.
Ah,
So for some areas, we see a lot of rainfall. Average rainfall in a week is 3 to 4 times. So we came up to the idea that why don't we harvest this water, and we have the developer can set up some sort of a water treatment plant, the ones that are based on site, and those residents of the development, they do not really have to rely on the authorities. They have a backup, and so it helps alleviate some of the pressure from the authorities while
oh,
also giving the people a second option to rely on.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
So,
it,
yeah, I think it's important for us to think about these the differences depending on where we are based and where we
Mhm.
are developing our projects, and also to know that nowadays many subdivisions are incorporating water sensitive urban design features. So there are many. They can use rain gardens, bioretention basins, as Dr. Anna said. There are different solutions that are being presented worldwide. So I think it's Raul mentioned the project management unit, and I think it's totally based. This is totally related to project management, to learn from lessons from previous projects, and we can do that by analyzing the reality of different countries, different cities, to learn and to improve the way we develop our projects.
Could I mention a quick thing again? You mentioned
Yes.
detention ponds. So in Fiji, the regulations state that any development that takes place, the 5% of that area should be declared an open area. So
Oh, okay.
mm,
when I didn't know that, it felt like, oh my God, we're using so much space. 5% it's quite a cost to developer, right? And then as I learned more and I got to do like masters and I got to delve into other areas, then I understood that that 5% of the area also acts like a detention pond in case there was a flooding event. It's
yes.
not just a
Oh, okay.
playground, it's not a social
No, yeah,
area.
Now,
exactly.
yeah.
Yes, like so that also alleviates some of the pressure when the drainage networks they get flooded. Sometimes it get clogged up and it backs up. Those areas provide a huge area for the water to get infiltrated back into the groundwater networks.
Yeah, I
So
think both aspects are very important. I think these solutions, they are very functional, of course, but also they add value to the community. So
yes,
instead of using like large fenced off detention bases, we can get sometimes green spaces that people can actually use, enjoy. So and there are several aspects, several benefits of using that. We can reduce heat island effects,
Yeah,
we can support
100%.
biodiversity, we can create a more interesting urban environment for the community. So I think from an engineering perspective, this is amazing because we are concentrating everything to a single system, a single solution, and it's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, another very, very important aspects that we always need to keep in mind is about safety in our communities.
Yes.
For example, with WA, we have, and in Australia in general, we also need to be aware of the risk in terms of the bushfire management. It's a key point here. So, and at the end of the day, as civil engineers, our designs, I think it's very nice the way that you can put this. We need to ensure the land to survive.
Yes.
Hundreds of years, right? Or more than this. We need to consider the worst case scenarios because, sometimes when you have some natural disaster like floodings or earthquakes, it's about the entire community that we are talking about. So safety aspects, I think it's a very important point for us, as civil engineers. And just one question for you, Rahul, in terms of how EIT helped you in order to boost your qualifications?
I would say the biggest impact that EIT has is that the lecturers are coming from site works. They're very practical. For example, when I took the project design and construction unit, and I, I really learned a lot. It was because everything was in line with real world engineering. I was I was a site engineer at that time, and the risk scheduling, quality, this cost control, and specifically the team coordination, these are things that were directly impacting me. And therefore I got really well absorbed into the system of work that I was already doing. Also, when I look at structural design units, the ones I'm a land development engineer, so I'm really not into structural as heavily as others are. But still, I managed to learn a lot, which I could translate into my work. There was an instant where our contractor was doing something wrong, and I corrected him, and he got angry, right? So the instance was he was pouring concrete, and it was at a height of like 2 meters. And so Australian standards states that if it's 1.2 meters high, you need to use something, and so that the segregation doesn't happen, right? And he was doing it, and I said it's in the contract, and he said, "What contract?" So I was like, "The one that you've signed." And I was like, "You can't do this. You're like you're gonna be gone, and
then
the
you
client
stay.
is going to suffer. The client is going to suffer for something
Yeah.
that can easily be changed, and like it could be done better." So that's one takeaway from EIT, that it really helped me to relate to site, and I really loved engaging with the lecturers.
Yeah, that is really, really amazing. And we are so proud to see our students working at the industry. This is the main point for all of us. And I'm the beauty of civil engineering, civil engineering in general, we are very flexible, so we can navigate within different areas, right? We can go for the structural, transportation, water management, construction management. So this, I think, it's very positive for us when we decide to embrace civil engineering as your career. So any takeaways, any key points that you'd like to leave to our listeners to encourage them to think about the impact of civil engineers in our communities? What do you think, Karoline?
I would say that the main takeaway for me is that subdivision development involves a series of engineering challenges, and it will require careful planning, coordination. And I would say that nowadays it's very important for us to consider innovative solutions. So to think about smarter road layouts, sustainable water systems. And to do that, there are many digital tools available in the market that support better decision making. And for example, at EIT, I teach a unit called Civil Design, which is very focused on introducing students to modern engineering approaches. So not just traditional calculations, but also how we use digital tools and data-driven methods to make better design decisions. and we will consider subdivision processes, projects, and also drainage systems, bridges, dams, and also buildings. So this is a very comprehensive unit, but actually there are many units that are very focused on hands-on experience and this idea of using data-driven methods. So I hopefully today's discussion helped the listeners realize just how much civil engineering shapes everyday life, as Dr. Anna said. So I think it's about everything, the streets we walk on, the water we use, the communities we live in. I think all of these depends on thoughtful, well-designed infrastructure. And I really believe it's our responsibility as civil engineers to think more deeply about that. So I'm very proud to see a student of ours here talking about his experience. And I really hope our listeners will learn with this discussion as well.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you very much, Karoline, for joining us today. And what about you, Rahul? Any final thoughts?
I would just like to add on what Dr. Karoline said, is that we civil engineers, we do so much, yet we don't get the same recognition, and not many people know what we do. And I feel like
Yes, that's true.
we feel undervalued at times, and it kind of sucks. So I thought about this.
100%.
Yes, it sucks. We study so much, and then when you ask a kid at the party, what do you want to do when you grow up, and they say doctor, and you just like, so I really thought about this. I thought, why is this happening, right? And for me, I think there's not much advocacy for our profession. So I love that we have done this podcast. At least some guy out there, he will see this and he'll like, you know what? I want to do civil engineering. What is this about? We have to also, there's a lot of like STEM development in schools. So that's changing the game. There's so many women also joining us. We had a lot of females who were in our bachelors as well. So that's amazing to see. And then I hope our fields get more recognition as we go on. We do so much, little appreciation would be the minimum that we get.
Yeah, 100% agreed, Raul. Sometimes it's about the hidden engineering. For example, what is visible to public, it's a simple, nice place to walk the dog. But behind the scenes can be engineering, bioreactor stripping nitrogen from runoff to prevent algal blooms. So it can be very, very complex, and people just sometimes just see the shades and aesthetics. But behind these, that lots of the structural soil pits that need to prevent all the roots from cracking the roads, for example. So I really appreciate your time and the opportunity to have both of you with us today. So I also thank you very much, all the listeners, for tuning in. And I invite you, all listeners, to subscribe to our podcast and follow EIT, our website. We also have our LinkedIn, social medias. So feel free to engage with us anytime. Thank you. Thank you very much, Karoline and Rahul. And it's a great pleasure to be here today. All the best for all of you. And definitely we're going to keep in touch. Thank you
For
so
sure.
much.
It was a
Thank you.
pleasure. Thanks so much. Thank you, Raul. It was great to see you here.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a really great day, and we'll be in touch. Definitely.
100%.
Yes. Thanks so
Take
much.
care, everyone. Bye for now.
That's a wrap for today's episode. Follow all things engineering and click the link in the description for more insights, tips, and course information.